Hello everybody and welcome back to Photoshop for Beginners. My name is Ismail Mahdi and today we will learn about folders and more about presets on Photoshop. Today we will learn how to make a UI thingy like this. So we will start by building it with the style layer, which is those effects, and we will learn about how to make why should we make folders and how to organize our files. So if we have projects something like this, look how messy it is, we can make it something like simply like this, and we can also add a lot of things to it. It keeps its shape, it keeps neat and clean, and we go ahead and check this out. It's very clean. So let's get started by simply making things like this, and we'll go back to this file to organize it. If we have a messy file, you can organize it. That's what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and just deal with this first. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new document by the shortcut command N. If you want to learn about the shortcuts, you can check the previous lessons, which is called Tools and Shortcuts. So let's go ahead and just accept that. I'm gonna make it a little bit wider. I'm gonna make it 800 by I think I'll make it 400. Sorry about that. The height it will be that. So now I have a document which is ready to play with. So let's go ahead and just fill this background with a gray color. So let's choose a gray color, dark gray, and just select OK. With the shortcut Alt backspace, you will fill the selected layer with the color. So let's go ahead and create shapes. I'm gonna click on the keyboard U, so we select the rectangular shape tool. If you have something else selected, you can shift click U until you reach the rectangle tool. So let's go ahead and just draw a basic box over here. Now it is the same color as the background, so let's change it to a little bit darker to separate it a little bit. Okay, now we have that. By just simply having this rectangular, okay, we will double click and just have a little bit of style. Let's go ahead and make a drop shadow. Make the size a little bit. Distance, I'm gonna make it 0. I'm sure that you already know about these things. We already talked about it in the previous lessons. Okay, I'm gonna have that a little bit, and I'm gonna make a stroke a little bit, right? Stroke. So we have a stroke and a little bit of shadow. Now we have the base background. Also, let's go ahead. We know what we are going to do. We are going to make something similar to this, which is let's go ahead and start building it. We're gonna double click and have that say background. So now we have this, and this is the background also. Let's keep the caps on and say background. So we have the caps background and the background. Now let's go ahead and make the button. I'm gonna click and drag to make the size of the button and change the color just to separate it. Now we have the bases, and let's go ahead and another one which will have the header for this alert box, and we want circle. So let's just shift and click U to click the ellipse tool, which is over here, and just clicking by making it 20 to 20, it's good enough. Let's just place it where it should be, and let's just duplicate this layer by clicking Command J. We will duplicate this. So now you have two circles, so just separate them a little bit, make them brighter, and we will change this after a while. So we have those two, just place them where we want it. Now look at what mess we have made. It is a really messy place. So let me show you. Those three are in the header, so why don't we just group them and name the group as a header, and it should be inside the alert box. So the header is inside the alert box. So let's go ahead and just organize those all. I'm gonna click all of these and just group them and say this is the alert. I'm just gonna alert box. So we have this group called alert box, and we have still a big mess inside. So let's group the header. Right now we have the header. This is the header. Okay, now it seems to be working. We have the background inside, and we have, this is the button, so let's just call this a button for now. Background button. So we have the background button, but we need to write something in the button which will say okay. I should change the color again, and I'm gonna place it on top of this. So we now have two layers just for the button. So let's group them together. Command J, or you can click this folder icon and drag them inside. I find while selecting the layers that I want to group and just clicking Command J in the keyboard the fastest way, so I always use this method. So let's just say that this is the button. That's neat and more organized. Now we have an alert box, which is this whole thing. Now we just by clicking on this group, we can just select it and just easily move it around. So this is very useful hierarchy to play around with and to understand. If you don't understand it, yeah, it's just like a file system, which is obvious, which is called folders, and it's obvious. I think it's obvious. So yeah, so let's go ahead and play around to create those gradients we have on this file, and just learn a little bit how to create this look just with only what do you call it, layer style. Yeah, so let's go ahead and show you that very quickly. I have the button right now. I want the background to be something like this. Have a gradient and just a little bit of shadow, and have a highlight over here. It looks neat, and I want the text to look like if it was inserted inside of this button. So let's go ahead and do this very quickly. I'm gonna double click this, not like that, just double click it on an empty spot, so you will have the layer style show up. I'm gonna go fast and click the gradient overlay, and it looks so bad right now, but you can go inside and change that colors. Just change them to something like that. just change this something like a little bit, something like a little bit. Okay, I'm just gonna click OK. I think you got the idea. And now just to make this line, I can do it in different ways by using that method, by just making them so close together so I can have the line. But I have a different method, which is using the scale. Just by decreasing the scale to 0, I will have the same effect. So I think this is a good method. Let's go ahead and just make this a little bit darker, so it doesn't have that much of contrast. Okay, I think this is good, just a little bit brighter. Okay, now we have something to play around with. Now let's go ahead and have the drop box and just reduce the distance, make that a little bit more, about 3. I think it's good enough. And we will have the outer glow, which is a glow, but we can treat it in something different way. I'm gonna treat it like let me treat it like a bars, something like this. Make it different. Spread, gonna increase it and just decrease the size, and it will show something like this. I'm just gonna have the anti-aliased to just clean the edges of the glow. I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller, and I'm gonna change the color to something dark and a little bit darker. And I'm just gonna change this, instead of screen we have learned about those tools, and I'm gonna change it to multiply and have the opacity way down. And I also may change this to a little bit brighter color, because we have learned something that the dark, and it looks good right now. I think it's good. Now we have only one thing left to create this glow. Let's just deselect it. We don't have this glow on the top we had over here, which is kind of looking good over here. Make it pop out a little bit. So let's go ahead and just do this very quickly. I will double click over here and go to inner shadow, which is in default settings isn't that bad, but it makes something which we really don't need. So one thing I'm gonna do is just change the distance to 0. Maybe not, just wait a minute. I'm gonna keep it 1 for now, and I'm just gonna change the use global light. I'm just gonna angle it to 19 degrees and change the color to white, or maybe something brighter, and change the blending mode to screen. And we have that size. I may make it 0, and that looks something awesome, something very kick-ass. So let's check this out. So we have this glow inside. If it's if it looks very sharp or very bright, you can just go ahead and double click and lower the opacity of that. So now we have a little bit of glow. So now we have that. To save this style, you can do so. You can go ahead and save this style to apply it to multiple shapes. So if I have this shape over here, which is not as a rectangular shape, let's go ahead and just delete it. Make a U click, and I'm gonna make it 200 by 200. So I have this shape, which is very big, a little bit big. I want it to have the same layer style as that button. So how do I do that? Very quickly. I don't want to just keep copying things. I can do something like this, just clicking Alt, where is it? Clicking Alt and dragging that what do you call it, layer style, and dropping it, and it will have that effect. But there is a different way, which is to save it and to just very simply, just by clicking on a button, it will create the same style. So I first of all, because I have the style on this layer and this button, I need to select it, keep it selected, and just go ahead and click this, create new style. I can name it, but I usually keep it default, but you can name it Wooden. I'm just gonna keep it, and look at that, it's over there waiting for you just to click another layer and just click it. That's how presets works. So now we have a little bit knowledge about how to make folders and how to create presets. So let's just get a little bit practice on it and just practice more. So we have that shape. If we have different shapes, let's go ahead, just experiment more of different shapes. Okay, we have this shape and we have that preset, and just click it, we have a button, which is very awesome. I think, in my opinion, it's very cool, and I like this button much better than the previous one. So let's go ahead and change it. Just click this and just drop that out. Looks awesome. So yeah, now let's go ahead and show you how to make this OK look inserted, something like that, using the styles. So now we're learning a little bit about UI stuff, because it's simply having a different contrast make it pop out, which is very wonderful. So let's go ahead and do that for this text. I'm gonna double click it, and first thing I will do, I'm gonna click color overlay and just change this to, I think I'm gonna make it a little bit dark, something like this, and the drop shadow, which will be not a shadow, which will be something like that. Let's just change this to 0, so it looks like a shadow line. Now let's just change the multiply to screen and change this color to sorry about dragging, change this color to a little bit bright color. Okay, now let's just change the angle to 19 degrees. Okay, now it seems not to be working because we have that, but just lowering the opacity and making it 50%, it might look good. But you see, because we have lowered the opacity for the color overlay, it actually keep the original color from the layer, the text layer, which is white. So to keep the same color, but and make a difference on that. Anyways, come on, I cannot explain this better. Now we have a default layer, a default color in this layer, which is white, right? We want to hide it because we want to reveal the color overlay only. So to do so, there is two opacity controls. There's the fill and the opacity. The opacity does lower the opacity for everything, including the effects, but the fill only lowers the opacity for the fill of this layer, which is white. So let's go ahead and change the fill to 0 and go to overlay and change this to multiply, and we have that look. It looks very awesome. Okay, now let's go back a little bit. Maybe we need to have that glow, which is drop shadow, just have it a little bit off because it is very straight, and we can just change the angle a little bit just to make this inserted look to it. So now we have learned how to make this text inserted, and we learned how to make this button. Let's save this text style in a preset. So let's go ahead and say inserted text. So let's go ahead and say okay, we have that. Now let's go ahead and try on a different text. Let's go ahead. This is a test text. Okay, we have this as a test text. I'm gonna click V to move it over here, and let's go ahead and use this, and it looks very good. It looks inserted. Just lower the opacity of that to make it more obvious, more realistic. And yep, if there is something bugs you can go double click on it. Sorry about that. Double click on the effects. Just go ahead, change the opacity for that, which is useful, really useful. Now I think you already know how we will do the other things, which is like that and this. I want you to experiment and try them by yourself, which is very obvious. We have two gradients. Those are only gradients. There's nothing much to them. I encourage you to play around with it. I'm gonna jump ahead and teach you how to do this because it looks weird, different. Just a few different different, what do you call it, moods and different stuff. So let's go ahead and do that again. Let's go ahead and click U, shift to the ellipse tool, shift U until we go to the ellipse one. You can just click and drag that. I'm gonna make it 100 by 100. Let's just change the color to reveal it because it's the same color as the background. So let's go ahead and double click on it and just quickly have a drop box size a little bit bigger, opacity a little bit lower, and we have that drop box. So let's go ahead and use the gradient. Now we have something to play around with. First, what we will do is just change the style to angle. Now we have an idea how we will do that shape. So let's go ahead and just change the gradient to different colors, which might look very cool. Okay, now we have that. Just change the different colors and just double clicking on that, and just it should be black and white for the sake of it to look good, and just doing it in a different places, it will make it look awesome. Just by clicking and dragging, doing it, it shows like it's being looking good, and I think it's very awesome looking right now. But there's something over here bugs me, which bugs me really badly. There's something, a little bit something over here which really bugs me. Okay, we have it off right now, just a little bit of that. double click, just change this to a little bit brighter, just change this to a little bit lighter, and we have that to just to change it, and so on. You will have the effect that you needed, and just let's click that. We have this shape, metal shape, and we can save this as a new style. Okay, I'll call it metal. We have a metal style, and let's go ahead and just make that very quickly. I will go to the shapes and go down to custom shape tool and use this rectangle over here, which is from Photoshop default shape. I'm just gonna click and drag. Wait, I'm gonna explain this more. I'm gonna have Command T and just rotate it while holding Shift. I'm gonna click OK, scale it down a little bit. Command T, scale it down. Okay, I'm gonna click OK, return. I'm gonna click V on the keyboard, move it to the center. While clicking it, just click on the inserted text. Now we have a little bit of thingy here. We don't want it to be so transparent, so you'll double click on that to edit the style, and go to the overlay and just keep darken it to the, and maybe change this color to a little bit darker, and maybe also change the blending mode to normal, and go ahead and darken it. Let's just do this a little bit, the opacity a little bit. So we have that button. Just scale it down, not that much. V to move it, and yep, we have that style. Now we have that style, so let's go ahead and group that. We have learned about that, so let's group that and call it play button. And it seems to be not in the right place. It is inside the alert box, so if we move the alert box, it will move with it, which is wrong. So let's get it out of the alert box. Now we have two things, and this is the button and this is the alert box. Yes, so I hope you learned that something right now. So let's go ahead and quickly fix this mess, which is a big mess. I think the quickest way to fix it just by using the move tool. And let's go ahead and use the auto select, but we shouldn't move things while that's on. So let's go ahead and just fix this very quick. I'm gonna click this is the header for that UI. This is the header, and this is the navigation, and that will be the companies which is represented on this chart, and that is a chart. So let's go ahead and very quickly fix this out. So let's go ahead and click, and we have jumped to this part, and I'm gonna Command J to group it. I'm gonna call it header. Okay, and let's go ahead and click this, and it's very far. I'm gonna go down and gonna put it on the group. You see, it doesn't hurt anything unless if you just change the orientation, but you should be careful though. I'm gonna click that, and we have the 14 plus 40 plus. Oh, come on, go down. I'm gonna insert in the header. So now we have the header. Now we need the background of the header, so I'm gonna click this. We have the box over here. Just gonna grab that and put it on the header. You should keep this underneath those, because we learned about Photoshop that they have an effect. Anything is on the top is on the front, anything on the bottom is on the back. So we have that on mind while doing this. So now we have the header. Now let's go ahead and get the body, which is the graph. And to do so, I'm just gonna click over here and have the 15 over there. We have the buttons, and that is the arrow. We have what is this? Okay, this is a, so you see, when we have a messy project, there's some extra layers we don't need, because over here we have 43 layers, which is, but we don't need it. So now we have those. Okay, it is messy, so messy. Look at that. This 20 is for another place. So let's go ahead and just rely on the auto select. So I'm just gonna go to the jump. I'm gonna have to group this and call it the chart. And I'm gonna call this inside this. This is the scale. So we have the scale over here. It is inside the chart. So let's see the scale. This is 40. So let's go ahead and drag that inside the scale. And I have the 30. Let's go ahead and drag this inside the, wait a minute. Hello guys, sorry, I'm back right now. Where was I? Okay. We was selecting those. So I'm gonna have to do this. 20, I'm gonna put it on the scale very quickly. Okay, we have that. This is the scale. Let's go ahead. This is the points. I'm gonna drag them all, and Command G. I'm gonna call this the chart or the graph. Oh, I'm gonna call it chart, whatever. Put this inside because it's part of it, and this also it's part of it, so I'm gonna put it inside. But look at that, I should go ahead and reorder those, because this should be in the back and this should be in the front. And this is we can make this on on a group. Let's name this number 1, group 1. You can do this too, so let's just go ahead and do it. I'm gonna rename this to graph, and we'll go ahead and pick those all lines. I think those are the lines, so I'm gonna highlight them all and just grab them to the chart. So now we have that. So if we just hide this, it will hide all those. We only have the lines over there. So let's go ahead and just using the move tool, click over here. It will jump you to the line. I'm gonna select them. Okay, this is a big mess. Okay, this is the line. Just by turning it off and turn it on again, it will maybe show where does it locate it. So now I'm just gonna grab this all and I'm gonna put them inside the chart. So when we do that, good. This is the scale. We have the graph. Very awesome, nice. Now let's go ahead and just very quickly, we have the header. Where's the header? It's down here, I think. Let's grab this up over here and near the graph, and I'm just gonna group those two and gonna name them group 1. So we have group 1, which which contains those two things. Now I need this background, so I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna change the name to background quickly and just grab that up and just repeating the process. It will make your project very cool. And you see now we have hidden those navigation bar, the tabs. I'm just gonna hide that. I'm just gonna select this and go ahead and let's just reveal this. Those are, I'm gonna click those and just have them all together, group them, and Yep, we have that. And let's go ahead and just group also. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop this above this. Okay, now let's name this the nav bar, navigation bar, shortcut for that. And I'm gonna hide it to select the titles of the tabs. I'm just gonna click them over here. I can go ahead and just drag them over here, reorganize them. So let's go ahead and just reorganize them. This is the day. Okay, this is for the day. I'm just gonna group this, click it, number 1. Okay, we have that. This is for you can do this, but sometimes it is better to keep them out of groups and keep the text together and the backgrounds together. So I'm gonna keep the backgrounds together. But you can do both ways. I'm just gonna keep them all like that. Now we have it organized. We have number 1, but we still have to group the companies together. So we have it organized very well. So let's go ahead and just click by having auto select on, click the apple. Okay, I have this, and let's just hide some of that, and it shows that it is that one. I'm gonna keep this hidden. What is that? It is the background of those, so I'm gonna keep it hidden so I can know which one I'm hiding. Now I have this. Let's group it. I'm gonna call it number 1. Let's go Google and just select the similar. This is the one. Let's group that again. Number 2, and the third company will be that one. I'm gonna group them, and number 3. Now what I'm gonna do is just drag those to the according one. This is number 1. Apple is number 1. So let's go ahead and drag this over there, and also don't forget to keep them on the right order so they don't hide. This is 31. This is the Google. I think it's number 2 Google, and yeah, let's go ahead and just drag this up to the right position. And it might be tedious, but it is really worth it because you can make effects on folders, which I will talk about it just in a few seconds. Now we have that. Let's just organize them, group, because they are grouped right now. Let's do that. Yep, they are grouped. We have that background and we have the companies. So let's go ahead and have the background. Drag them all up. I'm gonna have to go a little bit up, and yep, I'm gonna drop them over here. Group those 1, 2, 3 to a company. Company, okay, or is a company, whatever. And I'm gonna put the backgrounds together. 2 backgrounds. Okay, we have that. Now we have this all on one folder, and we can just go and see what's on it. Very, very organized, and you can just see because we have auto select on. We have selected one of those on. So if we deselect this and just select the folder itself and drag that, it will be one piece. So what is the thing that I was going to talk about? So now you see there's no shadows on this. There's a shadow on that, but it is because we have it. Some small things have a shadow. Small thingies over here have shadow, and to make all that have a shadow, you can double click on the folder to have a layer style. This is new on CS6, I think, but it is very useful to do that, we have Dropbox, and you can just scale it, and we have a shadow all over this, and which is very awesome. And you can do this for the other things, just the same method, click and just dragging. I'm gonna keep that just to you. So yeah, this is the basic things. You can just organize your whole folders and stuff, even though they are messy, and you can make it something like this, very clean. You have the header all together. If you want to change the header, you can do so. Background, you can do so very simply by clicking Alt and Backspace on Mac. Yeah, and you can make things very awesome like this, and keep your folder organized and well very organized. That's how I'm gonna talk. And also to show you one feature of the folders is you can have masks on folders, which is very useful thing. I'm using it right now. If you see, we have this mask over here. I just click Alt and click the mask, so you can see what's happening on the mask. I have the mask just showing this part, and I have a big image over here. Let me just disable this. Okay, I just disabled this mask by clicking Shift and clicking on the mask. I have a huge mask. I have double masks. So this is what's happening. We have a lot of images about weather, and we have this image heading. Just using the mask, click on that, but just keeping the masks on, we can just click on this layer, which have a lot of weather icons. I'm just gonna click it, use the move tool, and just move it as according of the time. And this is very useful thing to do using the folders on Photoshop. So yes, very useful. I am also using it on this as well as this. Same method. Have two masks on folder, and just dragging and just changing the icons very quickly. So I hope you learned something today. Hope you enjoyed it, and be creative and create things. Make UI kits and stuff like that. I think you are ready for it right now. And keep your files and folders organized, especially if you're working with a group of people. It is very useful to keep things very organized and clean. I hope you learned something today, and see you in the next tutorial lesson. My name is Ismail Mahdi, and bye.